The massive conference hall of the Galactic Council floated in the neutral zone between star systems. Inside, representatives from 12 advanced civilizations sat around a curved table that sparkled with holographic star maps. At the center of attention stood Captain James Miller, humanity's first representative to this gathering of spacefaring races. The alien commander from the Vorthan Empire, a tall creature with blue scales and 4 arms, pointed at the hologram of humanity's newest warship, the UEC Titan. His laugh sounded like breaking glass. This is what humans call a warship. Look at those primitive engines. Our scouts move faster than this ... metal box. Commander Krall of the Vorthan fleet leaned forward, his 6 eyes focusing on the specifications. Maximum speed of only 0.3. Light speed? Our cargo vessels exceed that. And look at the size. It's like they strap engines to a small moon. How do they expect to maneuver in battle? The other alien races joined in the laughter. The sleek Nexari, with their crystal ships that could dance through space, shook their elongated heads. The Zelton, masters of quantum drives, made clicking sounds that passed for amusement among their kind. Captain Miller stood quietly, his weathered face showing no emotion. He had expected this reaction. Humanity had only discovered faster-than-light travel 20 years ago, while these races had been traveling the stars for centuries. Their ships were elegant, fast, and equipped with energy weapons that could vaporize asteroids in seconds. The Titan is indeed slower than your vessels, Miller admitted, causing more laughter to ripple through the hall. But speed isn't everything in warfare. What else is there? Krall asked, his voice dripping with condescension. Your weapons? Those primitive projectile launchers? Our shields can deflect asteroids traveling at half-light speed. Your slugs won't even scratch our paint. The Zelton ambassador chimed in. Perhaps humans should stick to their own solar system until they develop real technology. This galaxy has no place for such outdated designs. Miller touched his communicator, sending a signal to the Titan waiting outside the station. Would the esteemed council like a demonstration? A simple war game, perhaps? Your fastest squadron against our single slow ship? The room erupted in amused chatter. Krall stood up, his massive frame towering over the human. You jest. 1 ship against a squadron? That's not a war game. It's suicide. Then you have nothing to lose, Miller replied. Calmly. If we're as primitive as you say, it should be excellent entertainment for the council. The Nexari representative's crystalline form hummed with interest. I vote yes. It would be educational to see how primitive species approach combat. Within minutes, the vote was unanimous. The council would witness this demonstration, though most were already discussing what humanity should focus on after their inevitable defeat. Some suggested humanity should become farmers for the galactic community. Others thought they might make decent miners as the representatives moved to the observation deck. Krall pulled Miller aside. This is foolish, human. My squadron consists of 7 of the fastest attack ships in the galaxy. Each one has weapons that can crack a moon. Call off this demonstration and save your crew the embarrassment. Miller looked up at the towering alien. Commander Krall, there's an old Earth saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. Krall's translator struggled with the metaphor. Dogs? What do your pets have to do with space combat? You'll see, Miller said, walking toward the observation deck. Outside, the Titan hung in space like a giant metal brick. It was ugly compared to the elegant alien vessels. No sweeping curves or crystalline structures. Just thick armor plating, massive engines, and what looked like oversized gun barrels protruding from its hull. The Vorthan squadron emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 7 needle-shaped vessels, each one a masterpiece of advanced engineering. They could accelerate to near light speed in seconds, and their plasma weapons glowed with deadly energy. The aliens settled into their seats, ready to watch humanity learn a harsh lesson about their place in the galaxy. They didn't know that humans had spent their entire history perfecting one thing above all else. The art of war. Admiral Tom Roberts stood on the bridge of the UES Titan, watching the Vorthan squadron arrange themselves in attack formation. His crew of 300 humans worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. No panic, no rush. Just the steady rhythm of professionals preparing for battle. Admiral, the Vorthan ships are broadcasting on all frequencies. Lieutenant Anna Park reported from the communications station. They're making sure everyone in the sector can watch this. Roberts smiled grimly. Let them. Commander Liu, what's our status? Commander Liu, the ship's tactical officer, studied his displays. All systems green, Admiral. The Macs are loaded with tungsten rounds. Point defense systems online. Armor integrity at 100%. The crew is ready. Through the view screen, Roberts could see the alien vessels beginning their approach. They moved like dancers, swooping and spiraling through space with impossible grace. Their formations were perfect, their movements synchronized. It was beautiful. In its own way, they're showing off, Liu observed. Testing our reaction time. Let them dance, Roberts replied. Hold position. Don't even warm up the engines. Back on the observation station, the alien representatives were enjoying themselves. Immensely. The Vorthan squadron was putting on a spectacular display, racing past the Titan at incredible speeds. Close enough to be insulting, but too fast for any weapon to track. Look at them. The Zeltan ambassador laughed. The human ship hasn't even moved. They must be frozen in fear. Krall spoke through the communication system, his voice reaching both the station and the Titan. Human vessel, we will give you one chance to power down and surrender. Admit your technological inferiority, and we'll end this demonstration without destroying your ship. Admiral Roberts activated his response channel. Commander Krall, we appreciate the offer, but we'll pass. Whenever you're ready to begin the actual engagement, we'll be here. The casual response sent waves of laughter through the alien observers. The human ship hadn't even raised its shields because it didn't have any. No energy barriers, no plasma fields. Just thick, ugly armor that looked like it belonged in a museum. Admiral, Lieutenant Park said quietly, I'm picking up extensive. Scanning from their lead ship. They're analyzing our hull composition. Tungsten carbide composite with depleted uranium mesh, Roberts said. Let them scan all they want. They won't understand why we built it this way until it's too late. The Vorthan squadron finally stopped their aerial display and formed up for a serious attack run. 7 ships in a perfect wedge formation, approaching from above the Titan's axis. It was textbook tactics for energy weapon combat concentrate. Fire on a single point to overwhelm shields and armor. Range? Roberts asked. 50,000 kilometers and closing fast, Liu reported. They'll be in their optimal firing range in 30 seconds. And our optimal range? We've been in it since they arrived, sir. On the observation deck, Krall's voice boomed again. Human vessel, this is your final warning. Surrender now or MAC? Guns 1 through 12, fire, Roberts commanded quietly. The Titan shuddered as 12 magnetic accelerator cannons fired simultaneously. Tungsten rounds, each weighing 20 tons, erupted from the ship's hull at 30% the speed of light. To the alien observers, it looked like the human ship had simply trembled slightly. The Vorthan pilots saw the incoming projectiles on their sensors and laughed. Solid rounds? Against their shields? Their barriers could deflect natural asteroids traveling at similar speeds. They maintained course, confident in their defenses. The first round hit the lead Vorthan ship's shields, and something impossible happened. Instead of deflecting harmlessly, the tungsten round punched through the energy barrier like it wasn't there. The kinetic energy was so massive that the shield generators overloaded instantly. The round continued through the ship's elegant hull, turning the beautiful vessel into an expanding cloud of debris in less than a second. The observation deck fell silent. 6 more rounds found their targets before the Vorthan pilots could even process what had happened. Their shields, designed to disperse energy weapons and deflect naturally occurring space debris, were useless against purposefully designed kinetic weapons moving at relativistic speeds. Impossible, someone whispered in the observation deck. But for the humans aboard the Titan, this was just Tuesday. They had learned long ago that in space, Newton's laws were more reliable than any energy shield. Mass times acceleration equals force. And when you accelerate 20 tons of tungsten to 30% of light speed, that force becomes apocalyptic. The 3 surviving Vorthan ships scattered, their perfect formation destroyed. Asterisk. The 3 remaining Vorthan ships broke formation in pure panic, something that hadn't happened to their fleet in over a century. They scattered in different directions, pushing their engines to maximum acceleration. On the observation deck, the silence was deafening. The sophisticated alien races watched in stunned disbelief as their preconceptions, shattered like their countrymen's ships. Commander Krall's voice crackled over the communication system, no longer arrogant, but strained with desperation. All units, evasive pattern Omega, return fire immediately. The 3 ships opened fire with their plasma weapons, brilliant beams of superheated energy lancing through space toward the Titan. The human vessel didn't even attempt to dodge. The beams struck the ugly, angular armor, and something unexpected happened. They dispersed. The tungsten carbide composite with depleted uranium mesh absorbed and distributed the heat across the entire hull surface, turning the ship's exterior into a glowing ember but causing no real damage. Temperature spike on outer hull, Lieutenant Park reported calmly. Well within tolerance. The heat sinks are managing the load. Admiral Roberts nodded. Return fire. Mach guns 13 through 18. Calculate their escape vectors. The Titans. Computers, primitive by alien standards, but perfected through centuries of ballistic warfare, calculated where each fleeing ship would be in the seconds it took for the rounds to reach them. The magnetic accelerators charged and fired in the observation deck. The Nexari representative's crystalline form flickered with alarm. How are their computers predicting movement patterns so accurately? This is impossible with their technology. Level. Captain Miller, who had remained silent until now, spoke up. You're right. Our computers aren't as advanced as yours. But humans have been calculating ballistic trajectories since we first threw stones at each other. We've had thousands of years to perfect the mathematics of projectile warfare. 3 more tungsten rounds raced through space. The Vorthan pilots tried to change course, but at their current velocity, major course corrections were impossible without tearing their ships apart. They could make minor adjustments, but the human gunners had already accounted for that. The first fleeing ship tried to enter hyperspace, its drives glowing bright blue as they charged. The tungsten round arrived first, hitting the vessel amidships. The hyperspace drive's containment field collapsed, and the resulting explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. No! Krall shouted from his remaining ship. This cannot be happening. We are the Vorthan Empire. We have ruled these sectors for millennia. The second fleeing ship attempted a different strategy. It launched dozens of interceptor missiles, hoping to destroy the incoming round. The missiles, designed to track and eliminate energy signatures, found nothing to lock onto. The tungsten round was just dead metal moving through space. No heat signature, no energy emissions. The missiles flew past it harmlessly. The round struck the ship's engine section, converting the advanced propulsion system into an expanding field of plasma and debris. Only Krall's ship remained, and he had one last card to play. Activating quantum. Phase shift, he announced. His ship began to flicker, shifting partially out of normal spacetime. On the Titan's bridge, Commander Liu frowned. Admiral, he's phase shifting. Our rounds won't be able to. Launch the grape shot, Roberts ordered. A different type of cannon fired from the Titan's hull. Instead of a single massive round, it launched thousands of smaller tungsten spheres, each the size of a basketball, spreading out in a massive cone. They couldn't destroy a ship outright, but they didn't need to. The spheres reached Krell's position just as his ship tried to complete the phase shift. In phase-shifted space, even the smallest physical matter becomes incredibly dangerous. The tungsten spheres, existing fully in normal space, created a disruption field that destabilized the phase shift. Krell's ship snapped back into normal space, its systems overloaded and engines dead. It drifted helplessly, completely disabled but intact. Vorthen vessel, Admiral Roberts transmitted. You are disabled and defeated. Surrender, and we will tow you back to the station. The observation deck remained silent for a long moment. Then, the Zelton ambassador spoke, his voice barely a whisper. 7 of our most advanced warships, destroyed by one primitive vessel. How? Captain Miller stood and addressed the room. Because you forgot something fundamental about warfare. It's not about having the most advanced technology. It's about using what you have effectively. You built shields to stop energy weapons, because that's what you all use. You built fast ships, because you value mobility. But you never asked yourselves what would happen if someone didn't play by your rules. Asterisk, the battered Vorthen commanders. Ship was towed back to the station by the Titan. A humiliation that would have been unthinkable just an hour ago. As the massive human vessel slowly pulled the elegant alien craft with magnetic grapples, the contrast couldn't have been more stark. The beautiful, defeated predator being dragged by the ugly, victorious prey dot in the conference hall. The atmosphere had changed completely. The alien representatives sat in stunned silence as Commander Krell was escorted in, his blue scales pale with shock. His forearms hung limply at his sides. All his earlier arrogance completely vanished. Admiral Roberts entered behind him, still wearing his simple gray uniform. No ornate decorations, no flowing robes like the other species preferred. Just a practical uniform that had seen actual combat. The Nexari representative was the first to speak, her crystalline voice resonating with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Admiral Roberts, we must understand, your weapons. They're so primitive, yet they destroyed her most advanced shields. How is this possible? Roberts stood at the center of the room, his weathered face calm. It's simple physics. Your shields are designed to dissipate energy. They redirect plasma, absorb laser fire, deflect radiation. But kinetic energy? That's different. A 20-ton tungsten round moving at 30% light speed carries more kinetic energy than your shields were ever designed to handle. But why? The Zelton ambassador asked. Why would you develop such crude weapons when energy weapons are so much more elegant? Because we're not elegant, Roberts replied. Humans spent most of our history fighting each other on our home planet. We learned that the simplest solution is often the best. Why create complex energy weapons that can be countered by shields when a fast-moving rock does the job better? Commander Krell finally spoke, his voice hollow. You knew our shields. Couldn't stop kinetic weapons. That's why you challenged us. Captain Miller nodded. We've been observing galactic combat for 20 years. Every battle we watched, every conflict we studied, showed the same thing. Everyone uses energy weapons. Everyone relies on shields designed to stop energy weapons. It's an arms race where everyone is building the same arms. But we never participated in that race, Roberts added. We took a different path. Our ships are slow because we use that mass for armor and ammunition. Our computers are simple because ballistic calculations don't require quantum processors. We built what worked, not what looked impressive. The implications began to sink in around the room. The entire galactic balance of power had been built on assumptions that humanity had just shattered. A new voice spoke from the doorway. It was Admiral Lisa Johnson, commander of the human fleet. Behind her, a holographic display showed dozens of human vessels, all ugly, all slow, all bristling with kinetic weapons. "The Titan isn't unique," she announced. "We have 43 ships of the same class, with more being built. Each one carries enough tungsten rounds to destroy 100 enemy vessels. We also have smaller corvettes armed with railguns, and our newest dreadnoughts carry something we call planet crackers, kinetic weapons that can destabilize a moon." The room erupted in alarmed voices. The Nexari representatives stood quickly. "You're threatening us." "No," Johnson said firmly. "We're informing you. Humanity wants peace. We want trade, cultural exchange, and mutual prosperity. But we've learned from our history that peace only lasts when everyone understands the consequences of war." Crowell looked at the human admirals. "With new understanding, you're not primitive. You're practical, terrifyingly practical." "We're survivors," Roberts corrected. "Humans have been killing each other with rocks since we learned to pick them up. We just learned to throw them really, really fast." The Zelton ambassador's skin shifted colors, a sign of deep thought. "This changes everything. Every military doctrine, every defensive strategy we have is now obsolete." "Not obsolete, Miller," said diplomatically, "just incomplete. Your shields still work perfectly against energy weapons. Your ships are still faster than ours. In a long-range pursuit, you'd have the advantage. But in a straight fight, you'd annihilate us," Krall finished. "One human ship could potentially destroy an entire fleet before we got close enough to do real damage." Admiral Johnson stepped forward. "Which is why we're proposing something different. Instead of everyone scrambling to develop kinetic weapons and defenses, why don't we work together? Share technology, combine our strengths. Humanity can offer our kinetic weapon expertise and armor technology. In exchange, we'd like to learn about your propulsion systems and energy manipulation." The room fell quiet as the implications sank in. Asterisk. 6 months after the demonstration that changed galactic history, the space station had been transformed into the Coalition Defense Academy. Representatives from all 12 civilizations, including humanity, worked side by side to develop new doctrines that combined their strengths. Admiral Roberts stood in the Academy's main training hall, watching mixed crews train on hybrid vessels. A Vorthan pilot worked with a human weapons officer. A Nexari engineer collaborated with a human armor specialist. The galaxy was adapting, and faster than anyone had expected. Commander Krall approached, his bearing completely different from their first meeting. The arrogance was gone, replaced by genuine respect. "Admiral, the new shield prototypes are ready for testing. We've integrated your armor concepts with our energy barriers." Roberts nodded. "The layered defense system. Energy. Shields for the fast-moving debris and energy weapons. Kinetic armor underneath for anything that gets through." "It's ugly," Krall admitted, looking at the hologram of the new design. "But as you humans say, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid." The Admiral smiled. That particular human phrase had spread throughout the galaxy like wildfire, along with many others. The aliens were learning that human wisdom, born from millennia of conflict and survival, had unexpected applications in space warfare. Lieutenant Park approached with a datapad. "Admiral, the first combined fleet exercise is scheduled for next week. 12 human ships will be working alongside 36 alien vessels in a coordinated defense scenario. "Who's the simulated enemy?" Roberts asked. "That's the interesting part," Park replied. "The Council created a theoretical enemy that uses both energy and kinetic weapons, with adaptive shields that can handle both. They're calling it the Nightmare." Scenario. Krall's scales shifted to a color Roberts had learned meant amusement. "Leave it to the Council to imagine an enemy that combines the worst of all our capabilities." "Or the best," Roberts corrected. "That's what we're all becoming, isn't it? Taking the best from each species." In the months since the demonstration, humanity had gained technology that would have taken centuries to develop alone. Their ships were getting faster, their sensors more sophisticated. But more importantly, they had earned something invaluable. Respect. The other species had gained something too. Beyond the kinetic weapons and armor technology, they had learned a different way of thinking about warfare. The human concepts of redundancy, simplicity, and practical design were revolutionizing. Galactic military doctrine. Captain Miller entered the hall with the Nexari ambassador. They had been working on integrating human targeting computers with Nexari crystal processing matrices. The combination was proving remarkably effective. "Admiral Roberts," the ambassador said, her crystalline form shimmering with what Roberts recognized as excitement. "We've had a breakthrough. By combining your ballistic algorithms with our quantum processors, we can calculate kinetic weapon trajectories in hyperspace. It means we could theoretically fire projectiles through hyperspace windows." Roberts raised an eyebrow. "Bullets that can skip through dimensions? That single quotes S. Terrifying," Krall finished. "Absolutely terrifying. I love it." The group shared what passed for laughter among their various species. It was a sound that would have been impossible just months ago. Natural enemies finding common ground in shared purpose. Admiral Johnson's voice came over the intercom. "All senior staff to the Strategic Command Center. We've received a priority." Message. In the command center, a massive holographic display showed the galaxy's edge. Admiral Johnson pointed to a sector that was flashing red. "Long-range sensors have detected something. Ships of unknown configuration, approaching from intergalactic space. Hundreds of them." The room fell silent. This was what they had all feared. A true external threat. "Their technology?" Roberts asked. "Unknown, but their energy signatures suggest capabilities we've never seen. They'll reach the outer colonies in 8 months." Krall straightened, his warrior instincts activated. "Then we have 8 months to prepare a united defense." The Nexari ambassador's form pulsed with determination. "The new hybrid fleets. The combined technologies. We'll need everything." Roberts looked around the room at the collection of species that had been enemies just months ago. "Then we'd better get to work. Humanity brought kinetic weapons to this galaxy. Together, we'll bring whatever's needed to defend it." As the various species began planning their united defense, one truth was clear. The galaxy had laughed at humanity's slow warships, but now those same ships would stand as the backbone of their combined fleet. The ugly, practical vessels with their primitive weapons had not only earned humanity's place among the stars, but had united the galaxy in a way no one could have predicted. The age of elegant energy weapons alone was over. The age of practical warfare had begun, and humanity, the youngest spacefaring race, had become the teachers in the art of war. Asterisk.